They initiate the call, and we have there Dr. Thompson in the red polo shirt, and I can see myself in the top right, the self view. So at this point, the provider has a number of different tools available to them. They have far end camera control. So if you see my self view, but of course, from the doctor's point of view, I'm the larger portion of the screen, and they can move that camera left and right. They can zoom in, zoom out on the patient. And they can now, ask the patient, what are you in the clinic for? What are your symptoms? Perhaps they want to get a fresh set of vital signs. So they'll ask the nurse or the attendant to connect the vital signs monitor to the patient, and I'll connect the pulse oximeter here to my finger. And in just a moment, device is just warming up. You'll see my pulse and my SpO2 update in real time. Yep, so there's my pulse. My obviously a little nervous, but here we are coming down to earth a little bit. So we can take a snapshot, and when we do that, we're going to start adding to the patient case summary. So you'll notice that this other set of vitals was put to the document section. And as we go through the other medical devices, you'll notice that the provider has the ability to take those snapshots and add to the patient case summary. Because when I mentioned ease of use, the provider having the ability to drive the encounter is incredibly important when it comes to ease of use and adoption for the local side. If the person that's with the patient is new to the facility or organization, perhaps they haven't used the equipment before, once they log in, the provider can drive everything. They can determine what they want to see and how they want to see it. They can activate the devices remotely. So if they want to use the stethoscope, they're going to tell the nurse, hey, I'm turning on the stethoscope. I'd like you to take the chest piece and place it on the patient's pulmonary valve. So the provider can confirm it's in the right location using the pan tilt zoom camera controls. They can even change between bell and diaphragm remotely, and it'll automatically sync with the local side. So if I'll unmute this here. And we have the ability to record the stethoscope sounds if necessary. But we can go to no audio. We'll work our way down. So perhaps the patient is in the clinic and they're having ear pain, or maybe there's a rash or a wound, or perhaps it's an ultrasound and they want a bladder scanner or something along those lines. You can have a number of different medical devices connected that the provider can activate and examine the patient. So, for example, using my ear, I have this video otoscope. We can take a snapshot.
Yeah.
We can even connect say an ophthalmoscope. Maybe you're doing diabetic screening. We can take another snapshot of that. And there's a number of other medical devices that can be used here, right? So dermoscopes, exam cameras, video colposcopes for women's health. Really every type of medical specialty outside of invasive surgeries is typically where we draw the line, if you will.
And Riley, can I interrupt for 1 sec? That's amazing. Can we go to then, so we've accumulated each of those parameters, and then once it's in documents, can you show us the actions where this can go? Because I think one of the struggles we're having with this technology is integration. So really cool in terms of workflow and demonstrating how we can control this from the physician side synchronously. We can drive this encounter, or you've shown us how we can load it up and it can be an asynchronous. So these images can be loaded up. Once that's gathered, where can we drop all of that data? What's the step under
Yeah,
action
absolutely.
there?
So at the end of the encounter, the provider, once they're comfortable with everything they've seen, they now make the decision on what to do with this data. So for example, they can take everything and push it, clicking this action button is saved to EMR. So with that in the background, Agnes can directly integrate with whatever existing electronic health record system you're using. We can do that in a number of ways. HL7 APIs, we have integrations with many EMRs around the country and around the world. Another thing that you can do is you can take all of that data and say, okay, I'll put it into an export to PDF, and it'll give you that encounter summary report where everything is timestamped with the patient name, ID, those vital signs, and everything that we covered. So there's the picture of my eye, the consent forms, the blood work, those vitals, there's my ear, as well as you have the ability to add any notes, provider and local nurse side as well, to do with it what you want. You can also upload that to your electronic health record, or maybe you want to print it off, give it to the patient. And then when the encounter is completed, the data is erased. So we don't store any patient health information. The PHI is only saved where you're currently saving it or where you want to save it. We don't, once the encounter is completed, that data is erased. So I can simply change the patient name, or I'll change the ID. So look at it as a new patient. That data is gone. Moving on to the next patient.